What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to 49ers First Takes on a very special 2025 schedule release live stream program, whatever you want to call it, with the one and only Sterling Bennett. We're going to go over the 2025 49ers schedule and see where me and him line up as far as wins and losses. It might be interesting. I'm more of a pessimist this year, but if you look at the schedule, Sterling, it looks like a schedule that we could easily go and get 12 to 13 wins on just because of how bad of a last place schedule it is. But I don't know if I want to go that route. I just don't quite have the optimism.
It's an exciting time, Aaron. You know, we had the NFL draft a couple weeks ago, and we added 11 new players to this team, and now we get to see who those 11 players and this roster get the ticket to Sundays and Thursdays and Mondays this year. And look, I really think the schedule favors San Francisco in a big way. I know there's a lot of, miles on their tires this year. I think they're top 5 in traveled miles this year. But I think the way it's laid out, they're in a really good spot. The way they end the year in a good spot, the way they begin the year a good spot. There's like every year that tough kind of chunk in the middle where you say, "Oh, this could be a problem for you." But I don't know. Maybe I'm turning a page and I'm becoming more optimistic, but I'm really excited as to what this year can hold for San Francisco. Last place schedule, playing 6 first or second year quarterbacks potentially. That's a big thing for them against young quarterbacks. Also really key matchups in there. Obviously you have your Rams and you have your Seahawks, but DeMeco Ryans against Kyle Shanahan. I am hyped for that. You get some Ben Johnson against Robert Saleh late in the year. It's going to be a good season for San Francisco. And at least if they don't win the games, it'll be a lot of heartbreaking losses, which makes things harder at times. But 2025 is stacking up to be a really good season for San Francisco, if you ask me.
I've been pretty pessimistic, but I looked over the schedule, at least in the first
negative
half.
Nancy, huh?
Negative Nancy. The first half of the season, it looks very winnable. You spoke about draft picks and getting a bunch of draft picks in. I figure I announce this now for anybody who doesn't know. The 49ers have signed first-round pick Mykel Williams to a fully guaranteed $24.94 million contract that includes $14.78 million signing bonus per Aaron Wilson of the NFL, apparently. So he has been signed. Our top draft pick has been signed. The days of draft picks holding out and waiting till training camp in order to get signed is over. I'm so glad, at least for that part of collective bargaining agreement that we've had over the past, say, like 15 years or so. Because you remember, like, all the quarterback contracts that we used to get and how much these guys used to get paid to do absolutely nothing. So it's nice to see, because I think most of the other picks have been signed on the 49ers, other than a smattering of a couple who I don't remember. But what was your take seeing that come across? I saw it on your feed. So any thoughts, or just par for the course, really?
I think it's par for the course. I think, when I think of holdouts in the San Francisco 49ers, my mind goes back to Crabtree and just how big of a pain in the ass that was.
Oh my God, that's right.
Held out forever, and, he was going to be the number 1 receiver, and all the hype was Alex Smith and Frank Gore and Vernon Davis, and, who can they find else on the offense? And Crabtree was supposed to be the big guy. The Raiders took Darius Hayward-Bay in front of us, and it was like, wow, he's falling to us in the first round, but he held out. And obviously he had a relatively nice career in San Francisco. I think he was a little overrated. That's just me. I wasn't a big Crabtree guy. Thought he was a really good number 2, not a great number 1. But besides the fact, that's the big holdout in my era of, like, is he going to sign or not? Like, is he going to show up or not? But I think for Niner fans, we are so snake bitten by contracts, and just so snake bitten by, Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams. Like, it would not shock me, or it wouldn't have shocked me, if one of these guys held out for a long time. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Alfred Collins has signed yet. I know he's changed his number already, but I don't think he's signed yet. But I have no doubt that'll get done. Like, once the first round pick guy goes, everyone else kind of falls into place, which
It's not like there's any negotiating. You have a set
you're right.
parameters based on where you're drafted. The league took care of all that nonsense. So
Which is great.
whatever you there's no negotiating to be had. This isn't like, Brock Purdy holding out for more money, to add a couple more millions per year to a 50 some odd $1 million contract. These are set in stone. So I'm not really worried. If the biggest thing you're concerned about is number changes in May, I think
It's pretty good.
this offseason. Really comes down to getting Purdy signed and getting Fred Warner signed soon. Those are my biggest offseason worries, and I'm not really that worried because they were both at mini camp, so that gives me a lot of optimism. The offseason definitely has a different feel this year. I would you agree? Just based on how things, players showing up, just everybody looks more refreshed, ready to get going, as opposed to last year where you just had a feeling coming into the last year that things were going to be bad, and boy, were they ever.
Yeah, I think last year, you come off a heartbreaking loss against Kansas City in Super Bowl, and the real question is, how do you pick yourself back up? And the team tried at certain points. They were in it down late in the year and just couldn't find the next gear, in which they've had in previous seasons before 2024. But had a long off season to rest. No big contract stuff. Had some big departures, Greenlaw, Hufanga, and cut some guys that maybe they shouldn't have, but. They want to hit like a refresh button, and if you want to do that, you're in a good place. And I think you bring back Sala, you add Brent Boyer, and you draft how they did. Although there were some reaches, or at least some some talk of some reaches, and guys have to certainly pan out, and you see what they can do. But I think that San Francisco's in a good place. Last play schedule. The way the year ends and begins, I think, is really good for them. It allows them to start strong and finish strong, which is really important when you want to make the playoffs. And, for someone like myself who sees them around 10 wins this season, and I'm sure we'll get to more, of that as we progress on the show today going into the schedule. But I think when you talk about, how can you squeak in to the playoffs and then wreak some havoc on somebody in round 1 and 2? How do you get in? And then once you get in, it's all bets are off. Best team wins, right? So I think San Francisco has had not a quiet off season. It's been somewhat tumultuous, but tumultuous kind of in a good way, of not like the anxiety of, are they going to bring this guy back? Are they going to re-sign that guy or trade this guy? They traded away Debo after the Super Bowl. It was like, boom, gone. Kittle signed before, OTAs begin. Bang, that's done too. It's like there has been some motivation to kind of, this year matters. It's really important. And I think for a team that's older, they know this year is a big one. They have to win this year, or at least be back in contention again this year. Kyle believes that. Kittle believes that. Purdy believes that. There's a reason why those guys are there on day one, because they need to win this season. So there is some reinvigoration, if you will, out there in Santa Clara with the San Francisco 49ers.
Definitely. I'm going to try to bring this bad boy up here, and we could start looking at the schedule.
I can't wait.
Here, let's go to day. It is a great day. Let's see here. Share screen, image file. I always have an issue doing this one. Here is it. There it is.
The schedule. So my wife, whenever football season begins, I just go, okay, babe, go to the bedroom. I have to watch the games on TV for work. And I can't wait to show her the schedule today and say, okay, here are the days I'm unavailable for us to do anything together. These are my days during the winter months. She'll say, why did I marry you? Like, sorry, honey.
Let's see what we got here. I got to try to see if I can zoom this. I don't know how you did it the last time.
Zoom. 2 fingers and just whoop, whoop, whoop.
Is it? It doesn't work on my screen for some reason.
Should I bring it up again?
You might need to bring it up again because I have a touchpad.
Okay. I'll bring it up. Here we go. And this is where Aaron vamps for the next 5 minutes as I go find the schedule.
What did you say?
This is where Aaron vamps for the next 5 minutes as I go and find the schedule.
As I pontificate here.
Exactly. All right, let's go. Share screen.
Oh, you're gonna do it. Oh, this is embarrassing. All right, let me get this off screen.
Let's see if this works. Okay.
Hello, everybody. There's no background or overlay. All right.
Okay.
I don't understand it. Do you have a normal mouse?
No, I don't. No. All right. Can you show it?
Yeah.
Go ahead and share my screen. There we go.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's do this. So,
we're so technologically sound here.
there's so many things that could go wrong, and right away.
Okay.
So we got September 7th in Seattle.
Whoa. You don't want to talk about the preseason first, Aaron?
I could care less about
What are you talking about, man? Trey Lance is coming back to Levi's week 3 of the preseason, brother. You don't care?
the cone click is gonna pee in their pajamas when they get a chance to see him in person.
I actually really want Trey to play well. Like, if he's their backup quarterback behind Herbert, I think he does him well. So I know we joke and we kid, but like, I actually really am excited to see Trey Lance. And what is it, year 4 now? Year 5? That's crazy. That flew by. Year 4 for Trey Lance already. 4, 5, 5. Year 5. Man.
Yeah, it's been that long. Yep.
Jeez,
that's crazy to think.
Anyways,
so we'll start with the September 7th in Seattle. We open the season on the road. I look at this game, and a lot of people, including myself, when you take the first glance at it, you say this is easy. This is like stealing. We're going against a team that we've owned pretty much over the last couple of years. And they have a new quarterback now, and they've gotten rid of some players on offense. They're not the same team on offense, so they're going to be going through some changes too while we play them early on in September. I personally see this as a win. I just think overall, coaching wise, if you just go based on coaching and then key players on offense and defense, I just think we're a better team. Not real any analysts analyzing this one, other than the fact that I just think when it comes to like key things, whether it be quarterback, running back, players on defense, coaching, I think we check every box against Seattle. So I'm picking a week 1 victory in Seattle.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like we're going to go through 18 weeks of play here and talk about maybe a playoff run for San Francisco, but we haven't seen these teams play yet. The injuries may happen before week 1.
Right.
Rookies may beat out veterans. Like, this is the most like blatant roster looking at, like blatant, just like on paper predictions you can make before the year begins. It's like OTAs haven't started. We have seen Micah Williams and the rookie class for 2 days.
Yeah, he bulldozed a ball boy, and everybody's losing their minds.
Which, I mean, hey, the ball boy was obliterated, but still. So very cut and dry as to how much you can actually predict and take away and try to analyze as to what these games will look like. But it'll be interesting to see, because you have Sam Darnold year 1, brand new quarterback out there in Seattle. They got Gray Zabel in the first round, I believe. They're going to be a center and guard and tackle for them on the interior. The defense, they have Mike McDonald out there. He's second-year head coach. But the biggest change for Seattle to me is now Clay Kubiak. Is it Clay or Clint? One of the Kubiaks is out there as their OC, who with the Saints last year, now in Seattle this year. So they are adopting or adapting the Shanahan offense. So that'll be interesting to see how Saleh prepares for that. It's also a big game because that is Saleh's first game back in San Francisco as the DC. So you're in Lumen Field, you're in Seattle. It's a big game. It's a game you have to win. Yeah, it's early in the season, but division games matter. Yep. If you believe this Niners team is a fringe playoff team, these are games you have to win.
Yep.
It's playoff game. Like, yeah, you don't want to lose to the Saints or the Jaguars or the Texans, but you can afford to lose to all 3 of those teams. Mainly against the AFC ones. If you want to go to the playoffs, you got to beat Seattle. So part of me dreads playing in Seattle week 1. Part of me dreads because I remember going back, obviously different quarterbacks and regimes and stuff, but, Seattle was kind of a place you kind of got haunted, which funny enough, San Francisco has won in Seattle the last couple of years. So week 1, I'm assuming Christian McCaffrey's going to be healthy. I think San Francisco's going to have a point to prove of like, look, you can hate us all you want, you can doubt us all you want, but I think I'm with you. I think San Francisco wins this game. Seattle's a younger team than they were a couple of years ago. They have a lot of moving pieces, probably a better team than they were last year. But I think San Francisco wins week 1 against Seattle in Seattle.
Yeah, I was on Dre Area Sports earlier today, and we both Drake exactly. We both agree that this is an important game just based on one division. It's always good to start 1-0 in your division if possible, and 2, I just think we're a better team all around, and like I said, coaching included. Not saying Seattle's going to be a pushover, and I'm not saying this game's going to be a blowout, but I just feel like, they're coming out motivated this year. Everybody looks motivated with the 49ers. And I'm not saying that Seattle Seahawks aren't motivated either, but you're right. We're talking right now before anything happens, before injuries, things happen in camp, whatever's going to happen. Based on what we feel right now in May, I say this is a victory. I just don't see a place where this is a loss. But is
the Niners receiver room a limiting factor for you in week 1? Like, let's say Aiyuk's out till November. Let's say he comes back week 10, November 9th against the Rams at home. That makes a good sense to me. He's not going to play in New York. You keep him out of that MetLife turf. It's not going to happen. He's not coming back that day. But let's say Aiyuk's out to November, and let's say DeMarcus Robinson's out for 3 weeks to begin the year because of a DUI suspension. You walk into the season with Pearsall, Jennings, Cowing, Isaiah Hodgins, and Tariq Owens, and Junior Burgeon, and Jordan Watkins. Like, does that limit what you think San Francisco's offense can look like for at least a month, maybe 3 weeks of the NFL season?
Yeah, they're super limited in the receiving core.
And could that burn them against Seattle in week 1? Like, could that be a big reason as to why they could lose that game?
Yes. If they were to lose a game, I could say that the passing game struggles. I mean, Kittle, if he's healthy, he's gonna cause some problems.
Right.
Christian McCaffrey, if healthy, will cause problems. He's just that damn good, and he'll catch the ball too. Juwan Jennings will do his thing again if healthy, but man, they're really short staffed when it comes to receiver. They have a lot of unproven players. Cowling's coming into a year where I don't even know if he's on the team come September, to be honest with you.
Right.
So yeah, the pass game could be an issue. Hell, dude, I don't really care, bro, to be honest with you. If they go in there and they run the ball 40 times,
sure,
I don't care.
Well, that's not true. That's not true, because if they do that with Christian McCaffrey, we're going to be yelling and screaming out of our screens. What the hell are we doing, Kyle?
No, if they run him like 27 times and they run somebody else.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot.
Okay. So if they run him, say, like 14 times and he has like 6 receptions, yeah, I will be okay with it. Yeah, that is a lot. Even like 18 carries is quite a bit for him. So
I'm thinking like 14's a good number. 14's a good number.
Jeez.
Right?
I'm trying to destroy Christian McCaffrey early in the season. Oh my God.
It's like, we talked about the receiver stuff, but it's like they have a running back who he can say is healthy all he wants, and maybe you believe that, but it's like in week 1 of the NFL season, you don't want CMC out there, healthy or not, getting 27 carries, or even 20 for that matter. Like, you want his touches around 16, 17 total for that game.
Yes, total touches should be under 20.
Yeah,
for sure.
Knowing Kyle, it won't be, but still, like,
no, him it's two people in that offensive staff don't believe in sharing touches. Kyle and our running back coach, Bobby Turner. They don't believe in two backs. They believe in taking somebody.
Jerry is not carrying out there in San Francisco.
No,
not a chance.
They don't believe in that stuff. You tell them, oh, let's have a back by committee, and they're going to be like, screw you.
What the hell was that?
McCaffrey's getting 30 touches week 1. We don't care.
Yeah.
It's really that bad.
And they'll win by 10. And then CMC's like, hey, coach, I'm kind of sore. Too bad. Get on out there. Get back out there. It's like,
what do you mean you're sore? Yeah. So, yeah, I got them winning week 1 for sure.
Okay. So we have them both being 1-0.
1-0.
The next one's pretty easy, right?
And the next one is going to be, I believe so too. I don't know what their answer is at quarterback. Their quarterback retired.
You don't love Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener?
Right. I don't know a ton about them other than they don't really have an answer at quarterback, at least in May.
Tyler Shugg, rookie out of
Right.
Louisville.
Like people, I don't know who they are. You know who they are because you follow the draft. I have no idea who these people are whatsoever.
Right.
To me, when I was talking with Andre earlier, I talked about winning games that you should will prove a little early in the season. So like going in and banging out the first 2 wins looks good, but it'll matter more later when we get into, say, where we play the Rams in a couple weeks. But yeah, this looks like, to me personally, I hate to say this because I said I was going to be negative. I see this as a victory as well. I think the 49ers start the season 2-0.
Yeah, I think it's really important for this team to start the year 2-0 for a lot of reasons, but the first 2 games are on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And for a team last year that, struggled everywhere they went, you win 2 games on the road. While this team doesn't lack belief in themselves, it does start to instill in a lot of young players, okay, this team's for real. And it gives young players to have good, starts to their season, whether it is Jordan James or Michael Williams. Like, the Seahawks drafted a couple offensive linemen, but I want to see Alfred Collins and CJ West and Michael have good starts to their careers. And you have 2 games where the offensive lines aren't terrible out there in Seattle and New Orleans now, but they certainly aren't great. You have 2 games on the road, not in front of your home crowd, to start your NFL career off and your season off really well. Get a couple sacks under your belt, couple of pressures, stop the run. Neither one of those teams are going to kill you offensively. No matter how much Seattle wants to boast about Sam Darnold, they're not great. But if last year when the Saints traveled to Green Bay and they got shut out on the road, that's what this game should be like. That's what this game should be like. Well, I'm not saying, a shutout, but this game should be like 28-7, 42-10. This game should be a blowout. The Saints suck. Their roster sucks. Their team sucks. It's a brand new head coach. They're instilling a brand new system. That regime out there sucks. San Francisco has the best, one of the best coaching staffs in football, on paper at least. If they're healthy, one of the best rosters in football. They have some questions for sure, but great teams see the opportunities to pounce on prey. The Saints are prey. They're wounded. They're broken. They can't like. There's a reason why lions go out there and they hunt the old sick hyena or whatever. Like, they hunt the small wildebeest. The Saints are a small wildebeest. That's who you pounce on when you have to. San Francisco should start this year off 2-0. They better begin 2-0.
I think they will start 2-0, but I'm going to think this game is a little closer. And I was saying this with Andre earlier. The Niners defense early, I think, is going to be a little bit hit and miss. They're young, have a lot of unproven guys on defense, especially that defensive line. Andre made a good point about the secondary. Corners are good, but safety is a concern.
Sure.
Linebacker other than Fred Warner is a concern. So, everybody stays healthy and plays and there's no issues and, everybody plays up to par, then I think the Niners win this game. But I think it'll be a lot closer. I don't think the Niners win in a 42-3. I see like a 42-24 kind of game where like the defense kind of figures it out towards the end of the game, but early maybe they because people and I said this with you during some other streams that like I think the Niners were okay with letting certain talent go because they believe so much in Saleh and the scheme, and I think that still rings true with a lot of these young players. But I still think the young players make mistakes, so I'm not super confident in these young guys right now. But you're right. A good way to get confidence is to play well early on the road against teams that you should beat. And that's the best way to build confidence in young players because it's the best way to get themselves to feel good about their game. Then going back home in week 3. So
just being able to prove to yourself that you can go out there and do it. Like, the SEC is not the NFL.
No.
Like, the Big 12 is not the NFL. The Big 10 is not the NFL. The Mountain West ain't the NFL. And San Francisco drafted a lot of proven guys out of the SEC this year. And I think, you win 2 games on the road and maybe you play well. Maybe, one of those guys has a big game or whatnot. Then you come home in front of your home crowd against the Cardinals in week 3. Kyler Murray's back out there for Arizona. They're a younger team. Walter Nolan was their first-round pick this year. They want to make some noise. They're seeing you beat Seattle week 1. They say San Francisco is 2-0. maybe that is somehow the top spot of the NFC West at that point in time. And the Cardinals started off really good last year, and it kind of teetered off. So this is like this Cardinals game to me early will be their most difficult of their first three.
Yep. Man, week 3 at home against the Cardinals. That's a tough one.
I think they lose this game, by the way.
I was going to say the same thing. I think the 49ers lose week 3. I think they lose their home opener against Cardinals. I think it's close.
Yeah.
But I think
it's one of those like goal to go. This will be the Jake Moody game, and it'll depend on what he's done. Where it's like, oh, they're down 24 to 21, or they're down 20-23. Can Jake get the game time field goal late, and then he either dinks it or he makes it, and we all say either keep Jake Moody, or we're saying you kept Jake Moody seriously.
Yeah, exactly. I think this will be one of those games too where maybe the Niners defense, the young defense, can't get a stop. Kyler Murray runs around a little bit.
Mobile quarterback. Yeah.
Yes. Because that one, as much as I love Saleh, but one thing I hate about the wide 9 is that what it does to the remote quarterbacks. It's like the Red Sea out there. Guys just find ways to. Remember last year when we played them and Kyler Murray had like a 60-yard touchdown and he was waving goodbye to our defense before he crossed the line of scrimmage? That's the stuff I fear against him. And I see an inexperienced group of linebackers other than Fred Warner. And I'm thinking that we're going to have an overzealous young defensive line that might make some mistakes in this game where like, oh, I got him. No, you don't. And he does one of his, whirling dervish where he spins and spins and spins and then throws, to a wide open Marvin Harrison Jr., for the game-winning touchdown. Those are the things that I worry about. So yeah, I see a loss in week 3.
The Cardinals are a team, I think, that does have kind of a matchup. I don't want to say problem for San Francisco, but to all your points, and they're all correct, the read option in this game is going to kill San Francisco's defensive line. They're young. Like you said, they're going to think they have them. And then
it happened to their veteran defensive line got killed.
Right.
So
it's like stay in your lane. Don't bite. And someone's going to bite. They'll think like, oh, here's a sack. And then, whoa, where's the ball? And he's 30 yards downfield, like, oh my God.
Holding the ball up with his tiny little Burger King hands, like, ha, yeah, I got you.
But then then you think like, okay, the assumption would be that you would want Fred Warner guarding Trey McBride the majority of the football game in coverage, but there's going to be plays where it's D. Winters and Nicholas Martin and maybe somebody else. And that's a mismatch for you if you are the Cardinals. And so there will be some plays. And look, the Cardinals are a very fast team. Now, San Francisco drafted some quick guys, Marquise Siegel and Upton Stout. But you talked about those safeties. This is a game where you are going to get beat over the top, or at least they're going to take some shots downfield. Kyler is never afraid to go deep on plays. So Marvin Harrison, I think it's Michael Wilson, and they got some more guys out there. They're going to get open, and they're going to test that secondary early in that football game. And I wouldn't be shocked to watch San Francisco lose this game like 24-20 or 26-23 and go, yeah, that's what happens when you have a young defense.
Yep. I think a lot of people, including yourself, are excited to see some of these young guys. I know Andre was pretty excited. He thinks that they're going to do well if they're healthy. But I think there's going to be. I personally think that was the issue I had, and I know they had to cut cost. When you make such drastic moves to decimate a team, and then think you're going to replace it all in the draft, you need to hit hard. And even if you hit hard in the draft, young players are young and they're not going to play perfect.
Well, this is one of those games where Kyler can wear your defense out. They're going to have some long drives. They're going to, some long third downs where it's 3rd and 10 and you think you got him and he makes a guy miss and he's gone for about 15-20. And you're like, oh, and it's going to demoralize young guys. And look,
especially if it keeps happening. Because it demoralizes me watching it. So,
right.
It's like, really? He got you again on the play action? Again? Really?
And it's also one of those opponents and players where, we all talk about the rookie wall hitting you around week 10 or 8, right? That in-game rookie wall, the snap wall can hit you against a player like Kyler Murray really quick if you don't look out for it. So I think we're all on the same page of this game is probably the toughest, at least when it comes to San Francisco's defense, the mismatch. And the Cardinals' defense has actually gotten a lot better. And I do want to give them credit. I think Will Johnson's there, the second round pick this year, than Walter Nolan. So, those are two guys that I think are first round talents. And I think very easily could have been both first round picks, barring injuries to Johnson. So the Cardinals, I think, can surprise some people.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking the Cardinals are going to be a pain in our ass this year, home and away. Doesn't really matter.
What sound does a cardinal make is my question.
I have no idea.
Like, you hear, pigeons.
Is it caw? I don't know.
I don't know. Put it in the chat. Put it in the YouTube comments. What sound does a cardinal make?
Because is it that wee wah? Is it that one that really annoying
goes,
one? Or that buzz that one bird makes in your garden where it's like, bing. It's like that. I have a ton of
woodpecker either.
Listen, I have a ton of trees in my yard, guys, in my backyard. It is like a sanctuary for squirrels and birds. Squirrels dig up my yard all year, and birds. My brother has a feeder. They decimate that feeder within like 2 days, and all you hear is noise and squeaking and whatever. Sterling's trying to ask. I don't know what bird's doing what, but maybe I'll figure it out. Listen. How about this? I'll come back to you guys with some information by week 3, hopefully, and I'll let you know what sound the cardinal makes. So
it says they make loud string of clear down, slurred, or two-parted whistles. I don't know what that means, but okay.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Let's just move on. All right. Week 4, we play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another home game, September 28th.
Yes. Love this.
I'm going to take
Don't you dare take Jacksonville.
No, I'm not taking Jacksonville in this one. I'm taking the 49ers in this one. I'm not overly impressed with Trevor Lawrence, people. I don't think Trevor Lawrence was this generational quarterback that everybody said he was going to be. He's never reached those heights. Maybe he does it this year.
I like Trevor.
Or never. What'd you say?
I said I like Trevor Lawrence. He's just not very good.
He's got great hair, though.
He does. I wish I had that hair.
I mean, I have pretty good hair, but I don't have Trevor Lawrence hair.
What is the prevailing theme for you in this game? Because I have
coaching and key players, just like in week 1, where you have the better key players in the key spots, and you have the advantage in coaching too. So when the Niners get into games like this, where I think that they have a better roster than the team across from them, and they have better coaching, I'll always go Niners in that one. Especially a young. You would say the Jaguars are a young team; they're not an old veteran team. So,
it's a brand new head coach out there, and that's where kind of my theme comes in. Where, don't forget, this was the team Robert Saleh almost was coaching for. Had he not, had the Liam Cohen thing not happened with the Buccaneers. So to me, this is hey, Robert Saleh, prove Jacksonville they were wrong by not hiring you, and prove to every Niner fan and Kyle Shanahan why they should be so thankful that you're back in the Bay Area for at least one game.
Your hairy ass. We should be kissing your ass.
This is the game where I look towards Bobby Saleh and I say, lead me, be my Moses, part the Jaguar Sea, and let's annihilate these dudes. You lost against the Cardinals at the home opener. Go ahead and crush Jacksonville heading into a massive, massive primetime game on a short week against the Rams. Get the momentum back and just annihilate Jacksonville, who I think could vie for a wild card spot this year in the AFC.
Yeah, I definitely think the Niners. I definitely think the Niners go to 3-1 after 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's a crucial game, scary game. In week 5. I don't know how much more you want to comment on the Jaguars, but
it's not worth it.
The Rams, week 5, guys. I think they're a better team than the 49ers, personally. I think they got it where it counts. Quarterback, coaching. I think Devontae Adams will do really well in this offense. I think Puka Nacua will give us problems. Again, a young defense with a lot of unknowns and a lot of at least right now we have a lot of unknowns in the secondary. Like I said, outside corners feel pretty good about them. Fred Warner feel pretty good about him. Bosa feel good about him, but there's a lot of other unknowns, and we're going against a veteran team with a veteran quarterback who just makes big throws all the time, is probably one of the best quarterbacks of this generation, personally. And I don't think the Niners win this game. I think the Niners fall to 3-2 in a loss in LA.
This one's tough because the way I view this is that, yeah, it's a must win because in my mind, if you beat the Seahawks and lose to the Cardinals, as we're saying, in our predictions, you cannot fall to 1-2 in the division.
I know
that's a big knock, and maybe we're wrong, and I hope we are. I hope they can go 3-0 in the division to begin the year. But it's a short week. You're on the road. It's Levi South. I think this is a team where Niner fans kind of towards the end of the year were like, look, we're sick and tired of the season. We're just annoyed. But I will say this, that despite how good the Rams were last year, and they were a good team, like they were inches, a couple of plays away from beating Philadelphia in that divisional round. They were right there. The reason why San Francisco lost to them the first time was bad special teams. It's not going to happen this year. Brand Boy is going to have those dudes ready to go. The other reason why they lost is because they couldn't score more than 6 points in a game. And at this point in time, Demarcus Robinson should be back against his former team. He'll want to play good against those guys. You're going to have Pearsall and Juwan and Demarcus Robinson, and hopefully everyone else is healthy. And the Rams, for as good as they can be with Stafford, and Stafford and Devontae Adams could very much have an Aaron Rodgers and Devontae kind of like chemistry. They're just those kind of guys. But I think San Francisco, like last year, they played in so many one-score games where it's like, one different play and they win. One different play and they're a 10-win team last year. And so it's hard for me to say, this game's not going to be close or, no chance. This is a game I think San Francisco could very well win. And I think they will. I think that stadium will be covered in red. Again, this fan base, I think, is pumped to be back. They feel good about the team again. And if they start the year 3-1 heading into, Levi South, that's a big statement game. And Shanahan, for all intents and purposes, I know, in certain points during his tenure, really doesn't lose to McVay. I think getting back and just kind of being reinvigorated, you have a short week here. I think you can maybe say the Rams have a better roster, but I'd push back on that and say they're pretty equal, I think, to me. There's some differences at key positions, but overall, like this game to me is the biggest one for San Francisco's offensive line. Like you have Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, and they got some more guys out there this free agency and draft period. This is the game where we either say, oh my God, why is Jake Brendel still playing? Like, this is the guy you trusted, or we all say, oh, maybe Jake Brendel isn't actually that bad after all, which probably isn't going to happen, but still.
When I streamed earlier today with Dre Area Sports, I said this.
Oh, you double dipped on me, huh? You double dipped.
Double dip. I said to him, this will be a litmus test game.
Yes. If
the Niners come out of the gates smoking, and then they come into this game and they fall flat on their face, then they're phony. They're fool's gold. Ha-has, right? But if the 49ers could come into this game and either lose close or find a way, bootstraps, yank them up yourself by the bootstraps, find a way to go into a stadium really that has more fans of your fan base than theirs, but against a team with a really, really good head coach, a Super Bowl winning coach, and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. If you could go in there and win this game, then my feelings about the 49ers in 2025 are going to, it'll go from being a team I think barely makes a wild card to a team that if they can, take a game like this and kind of expound on it and get better, that maybe they're a better team than I think they could be this year. So I think they personally lose close and they're 3-2 and they're about to go on a massive run personally. But I think the Niners, this game, will tell a lot about what the 2025 Niners are. They're either really good and young and have a lot of energy and they're motivated and everybody's back ready to go, or they're a couple steps behind some of the bigger boys in the NFC.
So let's say San Francisco just were to win this game and they beat Seattle on the road week 1.
Mm-hmm.
That means they get to play Seattle week 18 and the Rams week 10 at home. They set themselves up to host 2 of the biggest games of the season come the second half. That to me is really important.
They'd be they would be 2-1 in the division going into week 6.
And host 2 of the last 3 games against the division at home.
Yep.
Like whether you beat the Cardinals or not, yeah, you want to win that game for sure and be 2-1, but it's really important that of those 3 division games, you have to beat Seattle and the Rams first, because those are 2 road games to begin your season. 3 of your first 5 are on the road. They do almost all their traveling at the beginning of the season, a lot of home games late. If you can steal those road wins early, it gives you a lot of cushion second half of the year to maybe have a blip here or there, or at least be able to stay home and more rested come those grueling, weeks, 14 through 18 to hopefully maintain your lead, whether in the NFC West or maybe go complete a wild card spot for you.
Yep, I agree. Week 6 on the road, we go to Tampa.
Baker,
this is a game that has me.
Baker.
Yeah, exactly. Baker's turning himself into a pretty decent quarterback in the National Football League. So I can't really hate on Baker too much.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of him personally, but he's done all right with his career. He kind of resurrected himself in Tampa. Man, this is a tough one.
Well, you had them losing against the Rams in week 5. Now, keep in mind, they have the mini bye week. It's a Thursday night game. They travel to the East Coast in Florida. Nick Bosa's home, right? And they have the extra few days of rest. So they are well rested going into this game against the Buccaneers.
Okay, so I'm taking them to win then, if that's the case.
Okay.
If they come in with a little bit more rest, and they get to lick their wounds coming off of the Rams loss, I think the 49ers win this game and go to 4-2.
I would agree. I think they're 5-1, but I can see them being 4-2. So we're about the same place, give or take a game or so. So we are equal of mind right now. Lori's right.
Lori Matthews has no love for the Rams, and she says Stafford's 100 years old. So
he's getting there.
We're taking. Well, she's pretty much saying, stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Rams. So maybe I need to jump on that bandwagon. All right.
So sorry.
Week 7.
Yes.
We host the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
Michael Penix is the quarterback.
Maybe.
Or are we still going the? Are we still going with the? What do you call
Bangs?
You say Kirko Bangs?
Yeah, Kirko Bangs. Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. I mean, we've had some issues against Kirk Cousins in the past.
I think it'll be Penix, but yeah.
I think it'll be Penix. I think the Niners win this game. Also, I think the Niners are a better team, better coach team, better team all around. This isn't your daddy's Atlanta Falcons with Julio Jones and Matt Ryan and all those guys. So I think the 49ers come back home after maybe a close game with the with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think they win another close game, maybe a 10-point victory against I think, up and coming Atlanta Falcons team. So that would make the Niners 5-2.
So at this point, you have the Niners 5-2, going to be 4-1 or 4-2 coming into this game, 5-2 leaving this game. I have them 5-1 coming into this game, and I have them actually losing this game 5-2. And being 5-2. Now I hate doing that.
How come you don't agree with me, man?
They're at home. It's Sunday Night Football. It's prime time. They're a better team than the Falcons are. And the Falcons don't give the Niners that many mismatches. They don't have the mobile quarterback. Penix is a gunslinger. He'll sit in the pocket. He's a pocket guy, not going to move too much. But this, I think, is a game where San Francisco's run defense could be in question, where they brought in West and Williams and Collins. However, the first couple games of the season, you have to think, the Seahawks aren't going to run the football too much. You have Kamara week 2, but that can really be expelled. But you get a big test against the Cardinals, James Conner, Kyler Murray. You don't really get a big test against the Jaguars. The Rams will give you one. You have them losing that game with Kyren Williams. You get Bucky Irving. I think this is a game where they're playing one of the top dogs in the backfield, Bijan Robinson. This is a game where I think the Falcons are going to want to run the football 30-plus times in San Francisco's face. They have Drake London. They have Kyle Pitts. They have the Ray McLeod revenge game in this one, if that matters to anybody. But I think San Francisco loses this game. Kyle, despite his success against the Falcons, always has those weird midseason hiccups where you're like, how the hell did that happen? I think This is one of those games. You beat the Rams in prime time at their place, Thursday Night Football, short week. I think the run they go on kind of ends here, 3-game winning streak. I think they'll lose this game at home. I hate saying that, but this is just one of those games for Kyle where you're like, midseason hiccup, here it is.
I can see that. I mean, we could always flip teams, but essentially we're right at the same spot, I would assume, right? We're at
both 5-2.
Both 5-2. Yeah. I mean, the Niners always seem to have one of those games, even in their good seasons, where they come out completely flat and get completely outcoached, out hustled, out everything, and you're like, maybe they're not as good as we think they are. And then they come out a week later and they go like the whole thing with like they go into New Orleans that year with Jimmy, and they have that miraculous comeback at the end win, and it's like it completely. I think personally that game and how that game played out for the 49ers completely changed my whole thought about the 2019 team, because I still wasn't really sure. You know what I mean? And to win a game like that really kind of changed it. I think the direction for them as a team that year. And also I think, as a fan, I was kind of converted after that game. So we're 5-2. We go into week 8. Is that correct?
Yes.
Against the Houston Texans in Houston. I have the 49ers winning this game also. It will be an interesting coaching matchup with D'Amico Ryans versus Kyle Shanahan. But I think the teacher outdoes the student in this one. I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's going to be a close game because I think their defense will give us fits. In what way, I don't know. But I think the 49ers find a way to beat a good, which I think a team that is actually going to be a playoff team in the Houston Texans on the road.
Yeah, this is summed up in basically, 3 words: Shanahan versus Ryans, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is. I have San Francisco losing this game. I think they go into Texas, Houston, and I was actually pretty shocked this game was not in prime time. I don't know why you wouldn't do that if you're the NFL. Why wouldn't you want Shanahan, D'Amico Ryans in prime time? Purdy and CJ Stroud and company. They got Jaden Higgins. They went and got Jalen Noel. Their offensive line isn't great, and I can see a lot of Niner fans saying, well, this is a game for Bosa to get like 4 sacks against Stroud and let Saleh's defense eat, and all that could be true. I just think that this is the inverse of I have the high ground from Shanahan to to being Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is the Revenge of the Sith PS2 alternate ending video game version where Anakin kills Obi-Wan. You're like, oh my God, like what's going on?
He actually made it behind him. And yeah, right. Exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. So I think this is D'Amico Ryans getting the win over Kyle. It doesn't happen often. Kyle usually beats the assistants that he's had, but I think San Francisco has a kind of a mini 2-game losing streak here in the middle of the season, gets them to 5-3. They're in a good spot still. You're 5-3. But I think for a young team, they're going to have hiccups here or there. Stroud's a darn good quarterback. And I think, the Texans made a lot of changes this year. They're kind of the inverse of San Francisco. The offensive line is, like our defensive line's their offensive line, a lot of changes. And so you can go both ways, but I think San Francisco loses this game. I think they're outmatched, they're outgunned. I think it actually is an offensive kind of show-off game where they're just trading touchdowns, and you're like, what's going on? Like, what the heck's happening? This game to me screams like 31-28 or like 35-28. Last team to score wins.
Mm-hmm. I can do that. I don't know. I mean, don't worry. I have some losses coming soon.
So right now, you have the San Francisco 49ers being 6-2 through 8 weeks, correct?
Correct.
And I had them 5-3. Okay.
And I do think game against New York Giants, they will be 7-2
Wow.
coming out of that game as well.
Mister, I think I'm going to be a little pessimistic coming into this one.
Well, those are coming.
It's like
Those
the
are
whole second half is lost.
I don't believe that they beat the Rams at all this year. I don't think they win either games.
They were so close last year, twice.
I don't think they beat the Rams this year. I think the Rams are a better team all year.
Okay. I have them beating the Giants in Week 9. I don't think Brandon Aiyuk returns for this game. I am mortified. Like, they have to go from Houston. They'll probably have a little carryover in the middle there. They'll probably maybe it's the Greenbrier. Who knows? They'll go to the Giants. They'll play at MetLife and just cry my eyes out what happened in 2020 out there with the Jets. They haven't been there since, I don't think. So this is the return to New York for the first time since then. So hold your breath, folks. This is a big one for us. My question is, who's playing quarterback for the Giants? Is it Russell Wilson? Is it Jameis Winston? Is it Jackson Dart? That to me kind of changes.
I don't think it matters.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I just don't think they're that good of a team right now.
I think depending on, like, they have Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. Like, they have a good defensive line. They have a relatively good defense on the back end. I think they signed Javon Holland, who was a Dolphin safety. They brought in some guys on defense who I like a lot. But I think San Francisco wins the game. I think we're on the same page there. They win the game. You have them 7-2. I have them at 6-3.
Yep, I can do that. And then we go to the Rams.
Boom.
I have the Niners losing this game. I think it's a close game, but I think the Niners lose this one as well, which would give them 3 losses. That would be what, 7-3?
For you, yes.
Okay. How are you feeling about the game against the Rams?
Am I wrong to think that, like, this is the long-awaited return of Brandon Aiyuk at home, rivalry game, not off the turf? This is a good run they're going to go on. It'll give him a 4-game stretch to get to the bye week. He's in a good place. You're on grass in a lot of those places. I think this is the target return for Brandon Aiyuk. November 9th, Week 10 against the Rams. It gives him 7 games to play, prove he's healthy, and they can trade his ass in the offseason if they want to. I really want to say San Francisco wins this game, but I will say the Rams win this one.
Yep, I have the Rams winning this one as well, and the Niners going to 7-3. I don't know what it is with the Rams. They scare me for some reason this year.
That's the thing is, you had them losing both games. I had them splitting, which to me makes more sense, knowing how close San Francisco. Like, I don't think the Rams got that much better than San Francisco during the offseason. Do you? Like, the gap last year wasn't that wide.
I just feel
did they widen the gap this offseason?
It's just their coach. I just think I love McVay as a coach. I love their organization and how aggressive they are in trying to just figure out a way to get a really good team put on the field, to get a chance to make a run at it every single year. Like, their organization, you can say what you wanted, the whole F them picks thing, but I don't know what it is about the Rams. The Rams, to me, are an organization that you have to be excited to be a fan, to be a part of that organization, because they're always going to do something in the off season or even during the season if they're having a good season where you're like, wow, the Rams traded for him? Like, that's not fair.
They are the West Coast version of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They are.
Now, there's differences in there. And
that's what makes me fear them, is because I feel like that, like, I listened to Larry Krueger. He was talking to Raj from RSF 49ers. He says the 49ers have a lot of, like, goody guys on their team. Like, they're a team full of, like, your Juszczyk's and your Brock Purdy's, and the Niners just, I don't know, man. Like, they don't have those dogs on their team. They're too much of a goody team. I just like the Rams and how they are and how they're aggressive as an organization and how they take chances. So, I don't know.
So here's where maybe I can, like, I can see them splitting the games I said, week 5 and week 10, but kind of flipping those where the Rams win early and San Francisco wins the second one. Simply because, like, and let's be honest here, is Matthew Stafford going to play the whole season? Like, there's a real chance he gets popped once and it's over. Now Stafford's healthy. He's a dog. He fights. He grinds. He plays for it all the time. But like, this could be a Jimmy Garoppolo game for all we know.
Lori says you guys are giving the Rams way too much credit. They will be at least split. Shanny has McVay's number.
I wish I had McVay's number. I
just don't have that this year. It's not that I don't feel like that long term, but I just think this year, I just think that Rams the Rams have a plan to be in the Final Four this year. I just believe that. And I feel like the 49ers internally are thinking that this is going to be kind of a recalibration season where you might see them lose to teams that they usually beat because they're just, young and have some inexperience in some places, like you said, and like maybe by the end of the season they figure it all out and then give it all they can in the playoffs and maybe beat a really good team in the wild card that has aspirations to go far and then fall to a better team in the divisional round. I really believe that's the kind of year the Niners are going to have. I feel like they're kind of like in this transition period. And so like weird stuff will happen where they get swept by the Rams.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can see
that's it. That's my personal opinion. I just think this is a weird season. I mean, they gutted a lot of talent and they didn't really, people are like, oh, they replaced it all. No, they really didn't.
They didn't.
They didn't really replace it all. They don't have any depth still. So they're one big injury away from being, having Sam O be their defensive end. And, I don't even know who they're back. Go ahead.
The way I can rationalize the Niners, at least splitting with the Rams, is because, again, last year it took an utter collapse in LA. The special teams issues, Ronnie Bell's drop, Jake Moody's missed field goal. It took everything going wrong.
It wasn't a Ronnie Bell drop. That was more of like he was playing volleyball and he was like trying to spike it over the top of the net.
Trying to set it up.
He's just like, I don't want this. Yeah.
And like San Francisco had one of the worst DCs in football last year. The worst special teams coordinator in football last year. That was the game in SoFi. Then you get to the game at home. Dre Greenlaw's return, Hufunga's back out there laying some wood, and you can talk about the impact those guys make. But that's where they didn't have Christian McCaffrey. They didn't have Jordan Mason. That was a Garendo game, and they lost by 6 points. That was Deebo Samuel dropping a would have been game-winning touchdown. Like, that's how slim those margins were. And then you add in Robert Saleh, you add in Brant Boyer. I mean, don't forget, that was the game where Dre Greenlaw played one half, and Devondre Campbell said, no, I'm quitting on you, not going back in. Yeah. There's so much just BS that happened last year. Like, I have a hard time, at least, like, I have a hard time saying they're not going to split because the Rams were not that far ahead of San Francisco last year. And I don't think the margin widened that much. Yes, Devontae Adams is great. You have defensive players in year 2 and year 3 that are playing good for you last year and whatnot. I totally get that. And Stafford, when he's healthy, he can beat you, right? He had that massive touchdown against the Niners at home. And you're like, oh, that was the one. It was the first team to get a touchdown wins, essentially.
You have converted me.
And that was the Niners. That was the Jawan Jennings 3-touchdown game where they blew it.
I now think the Niners do get a split with the Rams. I think it's going to be close.
We did it. We converted Aaron.
I think it's going to be close because I had us losing a lot more games this year.
Yeah.
So I have us winning this game. So that would make us what?
I think we both have them 7-3.
7-3. Okay.
Which is a good place to be.
You're going to hate me now because I don't see them beating the Cardinals in Arizona. Do not see that.
But
weird stuff happens when they play in Arizona. You know it and I know it.
So you're splitting? No. You have them being swept by the Cardinals.
Yes.
So initially you had them going 0-4 against the Cardinals and the Rams?
I did, but I had to switch it out because now that would be just ridiculous.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I think of the three other teams in their division, the Cardinals maybe don't scare me the most when it comes to vying for a wild card or for the division, but it's head to head. That team scares me.
They're a bad matchup for us.
Yeah, and they always have been.
Always.
2019, it took 2 Ross Dwelly touchdowns without George Kittle and a freaking Jeff Wilson weird touchdown to win them or beat them. Like, it's always been a problem for Saleh's defense.
I don't know what it is when they play the Cardinals, but they just find a way to make stupid mistakes and keep teams in the game. And like I said, there's this thing with these mobile quarterbacks, man. I'll be fair.
Yeah.
You've converted me. Stafford is a really one good hit away from being knocked out. If the Niners could get to him in the game that they play in San Francisco and it's not a rainy game and they're not having problems gripping the ball or whatever, then yeah, I could see a game where the 49ers find a way. I still think the Rams put 28 points on them regardless. I think the Niners defense is going to struggle at certain points next year, especially against really good quarterbacks. They're young. They have a lot of inexperience. The Niners really have about, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 all out really good players, like star players on defense. You have 2 corners that are really good. Mustafa when he plays.
Which he may be back by this time, mind you.
Okay. And then you have Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. Everything else is a question mark. And why can't I think that if they go against a team that's going to give them issues with communication all game and they're young, that they're not going to make a lot of mistakes?
This game right here is the one where I wish it was swapped with the Colts game or the Bears game, because late in the season, Kyler wears down. He doesn't last a full year ever. And this is the one where I'm like, man, if that was week 17, if that was week 16, I'd feel a heck of a lot more comfortable. That's what happened in 2023, right? While San Francisco, they won 13, 12 games. They were the clear-cut best team in football, minus the last game of the season against the Chiefs. Like, they walked into Arizona and crushed that team. Now, Arizona was rebuilding. We get that. But, like, Kyler was hurt coming off that game. Like, he wasn't healthy, or he's coming back from being hurt. Like, that's what you want Kyler to be when you're San Francisco playing him. You want him coming off an injury or, not playing at all. When Kyler's healthy, he's a nightmare to guard for any defense, but San Francisco just can't guard him at all. So it seems like you have Kyler and the Cardinals sweeping San Francisco this year.
I do.
I have them splitting. So I do have them. Well, that's tough too, because you may have convinced me they're going to lose this game. Man. Because I had them at home.
It's so weird every time they play in Arizona.
Man,
that stadium scares me. I don't know what it is about them playing down in Arizona that people up there forget. Like, man, like we lost to a team that had freaking what's his name as quarterback when they play in the Cardinals.
It's
they had Josh Rosen.
It's Brock Purdy homecoming game. Is he going to lose in front of Laurie Matthews in his hometown? I don't know.
I'm not trying to piss off Laurie Matthews or anything or make her not
stop
watching the channel.
If the Niners and Brock Purdy lose in front of you and you're at the game, I'm going to need you to call in to either this show or 95.7 The Game, because we're going to have a chat, because if they lose in Arizona...
You and that stupid-ass 49ers first takes.
Man.
Freaking red-bearded weirdo.
My football heart says they're going to win this football game, but... the pessimist inside of me says they're going to lose this game. So for the sake of this, I'll say they're going to lose this game. They'll lose. So we have them both being 7-4. You flopped against the Rams. I flopped or flipped against the Cardinals. Okay. They're 7-4 going into week 12.
I think they totally overmatched the Carolina Panthers. I think their young quarterback is up and coming, and he's kind of definitely reversed course with a lot of people who think he could actually be in the...
At the end of the year. He looked great at the end of the year.
He looked incredible.
Yeah.
He is really small, though. I hope he puts some weight on. So, yeah, I have the Niners winning that game. That would take them to 8-4 on the season.
And that's a Monday night football game, correct?
Yes, which means the Niners would get one less
rest. That's the thing, though. is that Monday Night Football game, a third-year quarterback. Do you trust that offense? They have, Xavier Legette, McMillan's out there now. Like they got some receivers. They have Adam Thielen's still there, I believe. They have Chuba Hubbard. Like they signed a lot of dudes this offseason. My one concern is that when you play teams like the Colts, like the Bears, like the Panthers later in the year, post week 10, that's when younger teams start kind of putting things together with new regimes. And if Bryce put it together at the end of last year and wants to carry it over again, you're either going to find yourself in a place where Bryce has played so well that the Panthers are overachieving, or he's played so bad he's not even playing for him again at week 12. Same goes for the Colts and Anthony Richardson. They're either overachieving with him in week 16, or he's so bad they're playing Daniel Jones. Like, where do you think Carolina places themselves? Because it's a Monday Night Football game at home. They in both our eyes, they lose against the Cardinals. They're back at home again for a short homestand. You say it's a win.
I think the Niners come out really pissed.
Okay.
After drafting a game to the Cardinals, and I think you're going to see more of a classic kind of Kyle Shanahan offensive drubbing, especially if Aiyuk is back, Jennings is playing, and you have Christian McCaffrey kind of dialed in, Kittle, whatever, like all that. I think the Niners, it's one of those games where I think they're clearly the better team. Kyle's pissed, Kyle's in his bag, and the Niners go out and they win like 34-17, 34-21. We're like, yeah, they're in it for a bit, but the Niners, put on two really nice second half touchdown drives of like 12 minutes plus and just take this game, I would say mid fourth quarter, where they go up like 2 scores and then Carolina is just not able to respond. I think Carolina plays well. I think their quarterback plays well, but I think the Niners are coming off a game where they just are pissed off. They're sick of the friggin' little guy running around making problems for them, and they're going to come out in this game. They're going to kind of show their teeth a little bit. I don't know exactly what that means, if it's a long-term thing that they can withstand, but I think at least against Carolina, they'll beat them.
So I have 2 questions for you. One, I think they do win this football game. So they're both 8-4 in our mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
8-4. One, does Nick Bosa get an interception like he did in his rookie season against Carolina?
No, I don't think so.
And 2, does somehow Kyle Shanahan re-sign Tevin Coleman for him to go off again against Carolina in this game?
Possibly.
Okay.
He's like at home. I need you in 2 weeks for Carolina. And then he just runs them like 25 times and gets 4 touchdowns.
He
and
says,
then we never hear
take
from him
a break.
again.
It's the Tevin Coleman game in 2025. We don't need you for the afternoon.
Yeah, we literally don't need you after this game. We just wanted you to, because they were talking all sorts of mess, Carolina, on that game. Remember that?
Hey, man.
They got smoked.
So, speaking of mess, that is the one thing that I didn't love about the Rams last year. And it's a reason why I don't think the Niners are going to get swept by them. Is after the Rams beat San Francisco a second time at home, with all the context included, Kyron Williams said, we're the big brother again now. And I was like, seriously? You see who you just beat? This is a team which Niners could have won that game, not holding it against them, but it's like, and they really should have won that game, but it's like, really? I think San Francisco's coming in like, we hate the Rams. We got to get in at least once. But besides the point, they're 8-4 going into week 13 against the Browns. Short week, mind you. Short week. Monday Night Football to Sunday morning, 10 a.m. So a short week on the road, week 13. Shanahan against Jim Schwartz and Joe Flacco. You better hide your kids, hide your wife, because Jim Schwartz is coming, brother. My God.
I think the Niners lose this game.
I agree.
Don't know why. I think this is going to be a game where our offensive line is just going to get boggled down. And I don't know what it is with the Browns, man. It's going to be an ugly game. If it's a weather game, Brock's going to struggle. I love me some Brock Purdy, but I don't know what it is with him and weather.
This could be a rain game.
Huh?
This could be a rain game for them.
Yeah, rain or a
Or
wind game
snow.
or both. My
Or
issue
snow.
is people talk about his hand size. Brock Purdy has the same hand size as freaking Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
And they don't have they have very similar hand sizes. Patrick Mahomes has small hands.
Dude, speaking of hands, we better hope and pray Kenny Pickett's playing quarterback in this game. Did you see that photo?
Oh
Where
my
is Flacco?
gosh. Dude, I don't have really big hands for a guy my height.
Man,
But damn, dude, like I got some mitts, you know.
I got small hands. I have Kenny Pickett size hands, and I would be mortified playing in that rain out there in Cleveland if it was.
I have what
Like,
they call sausage fingers. So like all my fingers are like, if you try to put a ring on them or anything, it's just not happening, you know.
Shout out Beyonce.
But I can't. But I'm not playing quarterback. I actually back in the day could grip a football and rip it pretty good back when I was in my 20s.
Back in my day.
Back
by that,
in the
I
early
mean like
90s, early 2000s when I was in my early 20s.
I mean like back in my day, like 2006, when I was like 13 years old, and I was out there gripping and flipping the old, what the Nerf orange rubber football, and I was swinging that sucker for 90 yards at recess.
Dude, there was a time in the life of me where anybody who's over 40 knows about the foam football with the little thing and it made it whistle when you threw it. Very 1980s, early 90s. And there was always a big rip out of it, like someone's dog or somebody took a bite out of the ball. There was always a piece of the ball missing. But that's the only ball we had to play with. So,
but it made you feel like Brett Favre out there, just slinging that puppy around.
I was throwing freaking lollipop dimes all over the field. Yeah, So I have us losing to the Browns
what a segue.
In a weather game and having the Niners fall to 8-5.
Does the quarterback matter to you here? Like if it's Shedeur Sanders, if it's Joe Flacco, if it's Kenny Pickett, maybe it's Dylan Gabriel for all we know.
I don't think it's not going to be a quarterback game. I think it's just going to be a game where I think the Niners have a hard time getting anything going offensively.
And am I wrong to think that although Brock isn't prone to injury, he had a couple last year. He's had arm injury before. Like, could this be a game where it's like, okay, Brock is hurt, he's not playing, and we see Mac Jones?
Or Brock gets knocked around a little bit and we put Mac Jones in?
Yeah, like
maybe the offensive line he's taken a couple big shots. And he's kind of haggard a little bit. Yeah, I could see
the concussion things come back into play. Happened twice against the Vikings. Like this is a game where I'm like, oh, like we'll see how the year goes. Obviously, but
is going to be on freaking like he's going to have to go into witness protection after the game because he's just going to get violated.
This could also be an opportunity for a player that's behind Trent Williams because Trent goes down at least once a year. Like this is where you don't want it to happen. So I mean, there's a very easy case where we're talking about. DJ Humphries or Andre Dillard playing left tackle because Trent's hurt again. And
Trent's
it's like,
going to have at least a 4-game hiatus during the season. He does every year. Trent's good for about 12 games a season.
Which this may be the stretch where you want it. Like miss a Carolina game, miss the Browns game, go on the bye week, Titans game, whatever, but come back against the Colts, Bears, and Seahawks. I hope not, but they do miss time. They are human beings that are 37 years old with bad ankles. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we have them both 8-5.
Going into a bye week.
Which, keep in mind, the bye week is the latest it could possibly be this year for San Francisco. Week 14, I think it's a great place for a bye week. Get yourself ready for this next 4-game stretch leading into the playoffs. You have 3 of the next 4 games are at home. That's
one's on my birthday. One's on my birthday, December 14th. I turned 26, 46, not 26.
Wow. I was 26, and that was 2 years ago.
Oh my God. How did I do that?
I don't know, man. Dude,
you guys are getting depressing. Don't worry. We're going to finish. It's going to finish good.
Yes, it will. Yes. But also last year, San Francisco was playing everybody under the sun off of their bye week. They don't play a single team off a bye week this year.
Nice.
And once you get out of that weird stretch where it's like, week 5 in LA, week 6 in Tampa Bay, back to the Bay Area, then to Houston, then to New York, then back to San Francisco. you have 4 games on the West Coast, and the other 2 road games are like Midwest. Indianapolis, Cleveland area, Ohio, kind of the North Midwest, if you will. Is that Northeast? Probably not, but not all the way to the East Coast, if you will.
Indianapolis, Indiana. That's like a north.
It's like North Midwest.
North Midwest. They're
It's
still
like
in
near Chicago. Kind of in that area.
My significant other lives in Indiana, and she's considered
she's a Hoosier.
She's an East Coaster still. Like when me and her gang, because we're both gamers, it's like, oh, it's the same time. She said if she would have lived a little farther west, she would be in Mountain Time Central.
Okay.
So
when San Francisco drafted TJ West and Curtis Rourke, she's like, "Here's my scouting report for both these guys. They're phenomenal players."
She grew up a Packers fan.
Dude, what are you doing, man?
She's not fair, like I'm
a Giants fan. I'm trying to Dodger fan, her. So that adds up.
No. Her family likes the Packers. I'm trying to convert her to be a Niners fan.
Okay.
She knows about Purdy because I talk about him all the time, and that's pretty
much
it.
Does she hate the Niners for what they've done to that franchise for the last decade and a half?
No, she'd care less.
Oh man,
she likes me. She likes me way more than she likes football. So it doesn't.
I can hold my Giants 3 World Series championships over my wife's Dodgers 1.5 World Series championships recently. Although that margin is dwindling down in front of my eyes, but she knows she isn't like football. But I have since told her, you don't have to be a Giants fan. But if you aren't a Niners fan, this is not going to work out. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's not going to happen. I can't marry a Rams fan or a Charger fan or a Seahawks fan. My God.
What I have to live in Bills country where everybody loves the Bills up here. It's just like, oh
my
God.
The Bills are nice though. They're 0-4 in the Super Bowl. Haley Steinfeld, Josh Allen, power couple. Who doesn't love it?
It's all my ex-coworkers and a lot of people I know, like they're always so hyped on from like September to December, and then every single year they play the Chiefs in the playoffs, and it's wah 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 wah. So
that's the sound the Cardinal makes right there. Wah 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 wah
wah wah. All right, so December 14th, my birthday, I turned 46. Tennessee Titans, 49ers win that game.
Brandon Allen revenge game.
Yeah, 49ers win this game. I think they win this game pretty convincingly. I think the Niners are a way better team, and the Niners are going to end the season on a really good stretch.
Yeah, they are. This is a Cam Ward game, maybe a Brandon Allen game for the Titans. First-year quarterback, third-year head coach now in Tennessee, I think. They aren't good. They're really bad. They are not tanking, but trying not to be great for at least one more season. They're about 3 or 2 years away. The Niners should, like the Saints game in week 2, annihilate the Titans. Off the bye week.
This is a game where you expect if you think you're a middle of the road to maybe lower upper echelon, this is a team that you should beat by at least 3 scores going away.
And now we have San Francisco back up to 9-5.
Yep.
Which is great. It's a great place to be.
Yep. They go into Indianapolis the week after. And I'd
say it.
Colts aren't a good team either.
Wow.
Sorry.
I think you're right.
Anthony Richardson ain't the answer, guys.
Which sucks, man. He's such a good prototype of a quarterback. He's big, he's strong, he has the arm, but he's not accurate for crap.
He can't read anybody. He can't read the field. He's exactly what Trey Lance was.
He's like 9 for 20 every game. Throws 3 picks and 2 touchdowns, and somehow they're in the game. And you're like, man, if they had a competent quarterback, then you go, well, they have Daniel Jones behind him. Maybe that's the case. And that's where I think Daniel Jones could play in this game, actually, for the Colts.
Which gives me even more motivation that the 49ers win this game.
This game is also on Monday Night Football, so they get the extra day of rest coming off the bye week, too. So they have the bye week, then an extra 1 day of rest playing in Indianapolis. So I think you're right. It's a pre-Christmas win for San Francisco to feel pretty good about themselves.
And this would what? They would go to 9-5?
They'd be 10-5.
10-5? Yeah.
Yeah, which is where you want to be.
Yeah. And go into week 16.
17.
Week 17 against Chicago Bears. I think the 49ers win this game as well.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
what is it? What was it? Ditka versus Tornado. Ditka.
Go, Chris Farley. Oh man,
uh,
miss that guy.
Ditka versus Tornado. Ditka. I don't know what that was. That was definitely from an episode. Oh,
So I actually have. See, I'm
yeah.
split because it's week 17, Sunday night football. A lot of rest is happening. Monday night football, then a Sunday night game. You're back at home. It's post Christmas. You're feeling pretty good. Got a nice bike under the tree. The kids are happy. You slip in your own bed. Man. So this kind of goes back into the conversation we were having earlier on the schedule when you were discussing, teams like the Falcons, where I was like, those are usual, like you don't want to play year two quarterbacks late in the year.
Gotcha.
And in this case, I don't want to play Caleb Williams in year two, not because I think he's a great quarterback, but he's got Ben Johnson now. They have 3 new offensive linemen on their offensive line, which duh. And then they added some defensive players. Like, I don't want to play week 17 Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. That to me is scary. That to me is where you go, okay, they could drop a game late at home where you're like, how'd that happen? And it sets up, I think they're going to lose against the Bears, to be honest with you. I hate that. I don't want them to, but maybe it's this just like twisted person in my brain where it's like, yeah, week 18 against Seattle, baby, win or go home, set it up. It's going to be awesome.
I don't see it.
Man.
I think the Niners are at home. They're in playoff form. I think if this game's in Chicago, I think the Bears win this game. I have the Niners losing 6 games this year, but I'm actually going to have them finishing with only 5 losses.
Wow. Okay. So just skipping ahead to week 18 for a second.
Yeah.
Do you have San Francisco beating Seattle, which very well could be another primetime game?
I do.
If that is for a wild card spot or the division.
I have them getting a wild card spot. I think you're going to see a pretty competitive NFC, and you're going to see a team with 5 losses like the 49ers be a wild card team. They're not going to be a division winner. I think the Rams the Rams are winning the division this year. Unless the Cardinals can find a way to beat other teams other than us in the West, because like I said, the matchup is always weird with us. We always have a hard time with the Cardinals. If they can somehow come out against the Rams and split, I just don't see. I think you're going to see like the tippy top be like a 3-loss team, and they're going to be the number 1 seed, and you're going to be like, man, the Niners lost only 5 games this year. Now I can flip flop and maybe go with the loss to the Bears, but again, I keep looking at that and say, if that's at home, we win. If that's on the road, then I would go 6 losses and the Niners be 11-6. Looking at this schedule before I had a chance to look at it, I had the Niners losing 6 games. The only thing that's stopping me from having that happen is the fact that we're going to be in our house.
So you have the Rams winning the NFC West.
Yes.
But you have San Francisco being 12-5.
Yep.
So you have the Rams being 13-4.
13-4 or 14-3.
Wow. I don't mean to sound like I'm talking down to you, but like, that's crazy. 14 win, maybe Rams team to you?
14 win, either Rams team, or you can have I think Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia's going to be really good again this year.
Sure. Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind Philadelphia is going to be good. I think the Packers are going to be a good team this year.
The Lions are going to be good again.
Lions are going to be good. I think the conference is going to be it's going to be a 3-way tie. It's going to be a 3-way battle. You're going to have the Lions, you're going to have the Eagles, and you're going to have the Rams vying for that number 1 spot. I don't think the Rams get the number 1 seed though.
No.
I think the Rams get the top wild card seed or divisional. They get the they would get the top wild card seed. The Niners are playing on the road in the wild card round. The Niners will go somewhere. I don't know if they're going to win that game, but I could see them being a wild card team. Again, all that predicated because we're playing the Bears at home. If this game was on the road, I'd have the Niners losing that game as well.
So I have them losing this game. And again, it sets up a week 18, 10-6. I don't know what Seattle is at that point in time, but you're 10-6. You're sitting there week 18. This game probably gets flexed to a Monday night game or a Sunday night game or a afternoon Sunday game, 1:00, which it probably already would have been being on the West Coast. But I think San Francisco week 18 backs against the wall. I think they beat Seattle, and I think they sweep Seattle this year. I think they split against the Rams. They get swept by the Cardinals, and they sweep Seattle this year. I think that San Francisco, I had them finishing 10-7 initially, but I had them being 11-6. I think the NFC West may come down to who wins that tiebreaker between the Rams and the Niners. I really do.
I really think that the Niners are going to be a competitive team, but I still think that they're going to be a rung below the top three. And I just think their defense is going to get them in some games.
So quickly here, let's just kind of mock out, because you have them finishing 12-5. I have them finishing 11-6, which I think is, to me and to you, that's above the expectation I had in my head
Your record is probably more realistic. Mine is just going based on when I look at matchups against teams, based on our squad, our coaching.
Okay, so
you could get me to flip-flop on the Bears game. You could.
And I think we could all kind of look at the schedule and say, well, this can be a win here, this can be a loss here. I can see the San Francisco 49ers beating the Falcons early in the year and losing to the Seahawks in week 1. I think it could happen. I can see there's so many ways the season can go, but quickly, I want to kind of look at the playoff picture in the NFC. I think in NFC East, you would say Philadelphia is probably the number 1 seed again. They're a great team, or at least they're the top dog in the NFC East. Okay. The NFC North, I have the Packers winning that division. I think that makes the most sense. The Lions are going to be good again, but still. The West, you have the Rams winning the West. Okay. Yes. The South, I think gets tricky. Do you go Atlanta? Do you go with the not the Saints, the Buccaneers, or do you go the Panthers? I'd probably go Buccaneers again.
I'm gonna go Bucks.
Okay, so that's Eagles, Packers, Rams, Bucks for us. Do you have 3 wild card teams? I think we're both kind of eyeing the Niners there. Okay, then you have to go Washington. Okay, so the Commanders are then there. Okay, now you have the Cowboys, the Lions, the Bears, the Seahawks, the Cardinals. I don't think the Vikings are going to be that good this year with the young quarterback. The Panthers may be vying for a playoff spot, but of those couple teams, Cowboys, Lions, Falcons, and Seahawks, who do you think gets in?
Lions.
That's who you say Lions get in?
You how many spots are left?
There's one spot.
Lions.
Lions
okay. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point in time, without looking at the seeding entirely, let's just hypothetically say the 1 seed is Philadelphia. Okay. They get the bye week. Okay. They're off the record. You can't play them. That means San Francisco, depending on how you view your division winners, and I'll ask you here, do Packers, Rams, or Buccaneers have the best record of those 3?
What do the teams have the best record out of the 3?
Packers, Rams, or Bucks?
Rams.
Okay, so Rams are your 2 seed. Okay. I'm assuming Packers are the 3 seed, Bucks are 4 seed. That makes the most sense to me. Okay. Are the Niners in your mind, 12-5, 4 seed? I'll ask it this way. Lions, Commanders, Niners, who has better record?
Lions, Commanders, Niners.
Yeah. Who
I think the
can it
Commanders
be
end up
now?
having a better record.
Okay, so let's go. Commanders are the 5th seed, okay? And they're going to play the Buccaneers round 1, okay? Lions, Niners, better record.
I'm going to have the Lions take a step back. I think the Niners have a better record.
And look what you just set up, baby. Rams, Niners, wild card round at SoFi Stadium. Let's freaking go. The Niners are going to win that game, dude. The Niners are going to win that game if this is how it sets up. If it is Philadelphia 1 seed, the Packers are the 2 seed, the Lions are the 6 seed, and the Rams are the 3 seed, Niners are the 5 seed. You have Buccaneers and Commanders, Lions and Packers, and Niners and Rams wild card weekend. Dude, that's a matchup made in heaven. That's what the NFL wants.
You're welcome.
Man, Goodell, give me a call. Give us a call, brother. My goodness. Okay. So let's play this puppy out really fast here. Buccaneers or Commanders, who do you think wins?
But Commanders.
Okay, so you have the Commanders winning. Okay. They play Philadelphia, rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. Boom. The NFL, this is cinema. It's what you want. Okay, do you have Packers or Lions winning?
Lions.
Okay. That means you get Lions versus the winner of Niners and Rams. Who do you want? At SoFi Stadium, who wins that game?
Rams.
Dude! You can't set it up like that. Just say
I think the Rams are. I just think the Niners are.
Man.
I told people are going to be pissed off at me this year.
Out. You had the out right there.
Where is she? Lori hates me. I'm just listen. I'm not.
I tried, Lori. I tried.
Listen. You're gonna. I can't get out of my mind the lack of experience that they've lost on this defense, man. People don't realize it. It's going to be we're so used to guys like Dre Greenlaw and certain other players making big plays in playoff games. Those guys aren't here anymore, man.
You're right.
There's a lot of people that don't have playoff experience.
I think what you're getting at is not that San Francisco lost too many pieces. It's just that some of the players they lost left some pretty big shoes to fill.
They've lost a lot of playoff experience. Greenlaw's been in the playoffs since 2019, every year but one, correct?
2001.
Okay, every year but two.
Last year, but like last year doesn't count really.
So they went to championship game,
Super Bowl, championship game, Super Bowl. And they couldn't win one.
And now you're replacing them with the winners, or you're replacing him with a rookie,
Nick Martin,
Curtis Robinson. It's not the same. I know he was hurt all the time, and you had to make that move. You can't pay a guy who's hurt all the time. But man, money on the line, and I'm a betting man, and I have Greenlaw healthy on my defense in a playoff game. I'm going 49ers all the time. They just don't have. The Niners lost a lot of cachet on defense.
You're right.
I think Fred Warner's a better linebacker when he plays with Dre Greenlaw.
Which a lot of this comes down to how do the guys replacing said players, Greenlaw, Hufanga, other guys, Mustafa when he gets back, or even when he's out, Javarius Ward, who I think we all can agree you still have Lenore and Green, but can Trey Brown be that guy? Is it Upton Stout? Who is it? There are some shoes that have to get filled, and we aren't going to know, hence why we talked about this and preface the entire schedule breakdown of like, look, it's all on paper. And San Francisco had 11 draft picks. That's a lot of young talent to infuse and have to play big-time snaps for you.
Big roles this year. You have people that are going to be playing starter roles.
Yeah, multiple. I
Yeah.
was doing the math in my head. I said, so let's say Michael starts day one, Alfred Collins starts day one. You can get into a conversation of Nick Martin maybe starting, day one as kind of the third linebacker, maybe. Upton Stout could be your starting nickel at a certain point. Let's say that Marquise Siegel breaks the mold and becomes a starting free safety with Mustafa out in year one on day one. You can have 5 starting defensive players that are rookies, and that doesn't include CJ West, who will be a key rotational piece for you on the interior. You could have, not realistically, but theoretically, 6 brand new starting defensive players at one point in time
Teams
this
with
year.
good quarterbacks and good offensive coordinators or coaches feast on young rookies on defense.
Which let's keep in mind though, and not talking about the playoffs, but is Sam Darnold a good quarterback? Maybe. But Caleb Williams is still a question mark. The Colts have 2 quarterbacks, and by that case, they have none. Cam Ward's a rookie. The Browns have 4 quarterbacks, so what are they? Bryce Young's still a question mark. The Giants have 3 quarterbacks, again, like the Browns and Colts. They really have any. The Falcons have a year 2 guy in Kirk Cousins. Like, and the Saints don't have one. There are some teams you can point to and be like, well, you can have 6 wins chalked up and you win a couple of these mix and match games, you'll be fine.
Right.
But Laurie Matthews has a great point in the comments that in 2019, it was Bosa, DJ Jones, and Dre Greenlaw, and those guys said, wow. And those were instant impact players, and they almost won a Super Bowl.
True.
With those guys being...
Hey, like I'm saying, we're going based on just like sitting here in May.
Right.
We could have a totally different viewpoint going into September if the Niners have an incredible camp. Because I know a lot of people. Some I don't talk to anymore, but I know a lot of people in the YouTube thing. They all go and watch practice.
Yeah,
they know more than we do. So I'm waiting to depend on the knowledge of people that are going to be watching training camp this year.
Let me ask you this.
People are going in with their agenda who hate Purdy, who said that Trey Lance looked better, and then whatever happened with that. But
which week of the season is kind of your tipping point of, is this team good? Is this team bad?
Oh, geez, man.
I think it's week 10 against the Rams.
I think the second game against the Rams are going to give us a good inclination. If we lose the first game against the Rams and then come out in a game and we split with them, and the first game was close, and the second game we find a way to beat them, I'm going to have a really good feeling about the 49ers going forward. If the Niners lose both games to the Rams and they lose them in pretty convincing fashion, or the Niners just look overmatched, I think the Niners are a one-and-done playoff team. And maybe they take...
Well, you already had one and done right there.
What's that?
You had him one and done in this.
So they're already... Yeah, so, but it'd be less of a surprise, I guess.
Okay, so before we end, because my headphones are going to die pretty soon.
Okay.
We have Eagles, Commanders, Rams, and Lions. Who wins, Eagles or Commanders?
Eagles.
Okay, Rams and Lions.
Rams.
Oh, okay. Who wins, Rams or Eagles?
Eagles.
You have the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl again.
Yep.
Okay.
A good team.
Let's just...
They're a good team, people.
Let's say this is true. If you have Philadelphia going back, being the NFC representative, who do you think they play in the AFC? Give me your May 14th prediction.
Bengals, Eagles, Super Bowl.
Wow! That's a hot one. I love Joe Burrow, but man...
Larry Matthews does not like, I'm so sorry. He's just like, everything I say is yuck, gross. I hate it.
It's depressing.
Let's think. Hey, at least I'm not a shill for the 49ers, okay? At least you can say that. At least I'm one of these people that comes on here with like fake bravado and is like, yeah, we're going to win 14 games this year and we're going to get the number 1 seed. I don't believe it. I can't say it. I don't believe it. It's okay, Lori. I'm not mad. I like your honesty.
I'm going to go on a limb. And I'm going to take a guy that we know in San Francisco very well. If you pick Philadelphia, Give me Jim Harbaugh's Los Angeles Chargers.
Ooh, that would be nice.
Who's got better than us? Literally, in this case, Aaron says the Rams, Philadelphia, and the Lions, and the Chargers, too.
I think Kansas City's going to take a step back this year.
We said that last year. They went to
but I think they've been exposed.
Expose him.
I think they've been exposed. If you have a good defensive line and can play defense behind, and you don't have to rush players, you can seriously jack up freaking Patrick Mahomes.
And they traded. Oh, and hey, you're telling me Jalen Moore doesn't fix that left tackle position?
No, he's freaking dog water horrible.
You're telling me an injured Josh Simmons doesn't fix that left tackle position for you?
Nope.
Dude, you're just a hater, man. You hate the Niners. You hate the Chiefs. You hate
everybody, man. I'm a New Yorker, dude. That's what we do over here.
Dang. And you didn't even pick the Bills, and you're in the backyard. They're breaking tables back there, baby.
They can't win in the playoffs, bro. They're a freaking choke job.
But in your case, Kansas City's taking a step back. They ain't got to play them. Then it's game over, baby. It's Bill Paxton, aliens. Game over, man. Game over.
We'll see, bro. Maybe the Bills surprise people. I think the Bills, if they make it to the Super Bowl, don't win the Super Bowl.
I think they go 0-5. Haley Steinfeld had to spit in Michael B. Jordan's mouth to get Josh Allen to a Super Bowl. It's going to happen, baby. Inevitably, it's got to.
I love me some Haley Steinfeld. Don't start with that.
Man, oh man. Warren
All right,
Matthews
guys.
said could be the Ravens.
Real quick, before we get out of here, color change or color prediction for the jerseys. That there's supposed to be some alternate jerseys this year.
Yeah.
My color is the Niners go with an all gold look. Don't want it, but I think that's where they're going. I don't know if anything matters. Maybe all red look.
No, because then you're getting into color rush territory.
Yeah.
I don't love that. I didn't mind color rush, but if you go all gold, it's going to look like those Rams ones back in 2017 where they're just all yellow and it's like, good God, who spilled mustard on that thing?
Yeah, where's the ketchup on that bad boy? Yeah, exactly.
Then if you go all red with gold highlights, it's like you have people saying, "Oh, yeah, taking the McDonald's, get him a Big Mac."
You're gonna have people. If the Niners have that uniform, and Purdy has a bad game, you're gonna see. Would you like some fries with that turnover?
Right,
blah blah blah. You know it's gonna happen.
Look, the McFlurry machine's broken, just like San Francisco's defense. It's like, dang it.
But
it's so funny, but it's true.
Oh boy. All right, everybody. Take care. We will see you down the road sometime, somewhere as we get closer.
You know what they should do? Give me that early 2000s white Niners jersey with the saloon font on it. Give it to me again. The T.O. era, loved it. Give me that again.
Oh, the one that had with the
shiny gold pants. Give me that.
Yeah.
T.O. on the star. Give me the T.O. on the star jersey again. Something like that. I want that back.
That would be nice. I do miss those. I have a couple of those. I have a Patrick Willis, a Vernon Davis, and a Frank Gore. They're all of that color.
And it's Frank Gore's birthday today. It all comes together. It's like George Lucas said, it's poetry, it rhymes.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Take care. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.